Yikes. This is like half of an RC passage. It is well known that many species adapt to their environment, but it is usually assumed that only the most highly evolved species alter their environment in ways that aid their own survival.
Right, so what does that mean so far?
It's saying that it is believed that most species can adapt to their own environment. However, they're saying that it is the only highly evolved ones that can actually alter their environment so they can survive.
Yeah, so it's well known that species can adapt to their environment, but the big thing here is, but it usually is assumed, so most people think, or it's usually assumed that only highly evolved ones can actually change their environment to help them. Cool.
Yeah, survival of the fittest. However, this characteristic is actually quite common.
So when it says this characteristic, what is it referring to?
Being able to alter their environment.
Excellent. All right, continue on.
Certain species of plankton, for example, generate a gas that is converted in the atmosphere into particles of sulfate. These particles cause water vapor to condense, thus forming clouds. Indeed, the formation of clouds over the ocean largely depends on the presence of these particles. More cloud cover means more sunlight is reflected, and so the Earth absorbs less heat. Thus, plankton cause the surface of the Earth to be cooler, and this benefits the plankton.
All right, so what is our conclusion?
That the characteristic of being able to alter the environment is actually common.
Excellent. Why is it not the last sentence?
Because that's just a continuation of why it's common.
This is a conclusion, right?
But it's like a sub-conclusion
Yes. All of
to
this
all of that.
is an example, yes, that we do get to this, but in turn, because plankton can do this, it supports that this characteristic is common. Excellent. So what is the like argument of strategy used here by the author? How do we get to our conclusion?
Yeah, so I didn't know what this was asking of me. So which one of the following accurately describes the argumentative strategy employed? So that's what it's asking, like.
Yeah, they're asking like, what does the author do to get to our conclusion?
Well, he makes a statement, then he says his conclusion, and then he gives an example of a specific species that has the power to alter their environment that is maybe not necessarily highly evolved.
Excellent. There you go. Perfect. So the main things on these is we want to pay attention to our premises and our conclusion. And so you're exactly right. It gives a conclusion and it gives it an example of a way that this characteristic is actually quite common. So that assumption is wrong. Fabulous. So go ahead and start with A.
A general principle is used to justify a claim made about a particular case to which that principle has been shown to apply.
So do we use a general principle?
No.
Nope. We don't say this characteristic is actually common because most assumptions we make are wrong in life. Like I can't even think of the principle, but yeah.
Yeah. It is immoral to lie. So an explanation of how a controversial phenomenon could have come about is given in order to support the claim that this phenomenon, this thing did in fact come about. No.
Yeah, an explanation of how a controversial thing could have happened is given in order to support the claim that this thing did in fact happen. Like, no, we don't say like, hey, this controversial thing did happen, so therefore this other thing happened. Like, no.
No. It's a generalization about the conditions under which a certain process can occur is advanced on the basis of an examination of certain cases in which that process did occur. Kind of.
All right, let's leave C.
A counterexample to a position being challenged is presented in order to show that this position is incorrect. Yes.
So what would be our counterexample?
The counterexample is that the species don't have to be highly evolved. It's actually quite common for other.
That's not the counterexample. Our counterexample is an actual example. So what is our example, like counter to something?
Certain species of plankton.
Plankton, excellent. And account to a position being challenged. So what is the position being challenged?
That it's actually common for species to be able to alter their environment.
That's what we're challenging?
That only the most highly evolved species.
Yes. We're challenging that. Our conclusion is challenging that. Yep. And so this counterexample is presented to challenge this in order to show that this is incorrect. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. That's what our conclusion does. All right. And what about E?
A detailed example is used to illustrate the advantage of one strategy over another. No.
Excellent. And then why is C wrong?
Conditions under which a certain process can occur is advanced on the basis of an examination of certain cases in which that process did occur. It's not a process.
Do we give a generalization about what conditions it takes for a certain process to occur? So do we give a generalization about how something evolves?
No.
No. And then do we give, if we gave that generalization to how things evolve, do we use that to advance the basis that certain cases that it happened, that this evolution did happen? No.
No, because we're actually challenging it.
Yeah, we're saying, yeah, exactly. So that's why our answer is going to be D.